Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. First of all, I'll be honest, and this is my own ignorance from not reliving the Shula days or whatever. I assumed, because, I work on the national level and whatever, but every time I say anything negative about a team, it's, oh, Torres, it's a 12-team playoff era. You have to understand this stuff is going to happen. And so I was actually a little bit surprised by the reaction of the Vandy loss, given, the state of where we are in college football. But then to follow it up with the South Carolina stuff obviously was not good. Everybody knows, easily could have lost that game. But so, what is the vibe? And we all know, and you said it, is the frustrated people are going to be the loudest. But what is the vibe around the football team right now? And what percentage would you say kind of understands? One, it's forget it's a new era of college football. It's just year one, things are changing, whatever. But then two, it is a new era of college football. What percentage is that versus the Deboer is too soft for the SEC. He ain't built for this. Kane Wommack's got to go. Give me the percentage breakdown on those two.
All right. Let's say, and I would love to, I know Nick Saban taught us to hate hypothesis, but I'd love to have this, okay? I would have loved for Coach Saban to stay around one more year because I think that would have given them a recalibration of what the new college football is going to be like, okay? And we'll get into this, but I would almost love to see that because right now they're kind of they're recalibrating, but they're in a puzzle where they're sitting here going, oh no, because they've heard it from so many different fan bases. Your friends down in Baton Rouge, your friends up in Knoxville, they talked about Alabama's going to regress to the mean, right? They're coming back to the average of football. That's where they're going to. And so they see it and they're afraid of it. But I don't think it has anything to do with Kalen Deboer. I think this is just the new college football. I've tried to sell that to my audience. Some of them are buying it. Some of them are like, no, a standard is undefeated 3 years in a row, 3-9. No, listen, they have stats on their side. Nick Saban has given them a national title, every 3 to 4 years and sometimes multiple national titles. So I've tried to coach them up. But listen, it's like Kane Wommack's defense. You could preach to them. You could tell them how to tackle, but sometimes they're just not willing to tackle. Kane Wommack has had a rough couple of days. That defense, not where it needs to be. And see, Alabama, they're new to the offensive game. Okay, Lane Kiffin gave them some years. Sark gave them some years. But they're okay with the offense. The defense, they're just not accustomed to playing this soft of a brand of football. And listen, it's Alabama. It's Charmin soft, okay? It just is. It's not that's where Alabama fans are struggling the most. It's not about the new college football. It's not about Kalen Deboer. It's about they want a physicality on that defense that so far we've seen for a couple of quarters. South Florida, you didn't see it. Second half against Georgia, you didn't see it. It's played pretty rough football. A lot of that's youth, and I'm sure that we'll get into this, but this is where it's at.
Well, I haven't even told you this because I haven't talked to you, but I was traveling last week. I was in an airport. I was in Connecticut, so a lot of ESPN people. I saw a media buddy, and he was going to cover the Alabama, the South Carolina game past weekend, but he had seen them earlier in the year, and he said, Torres, I just don't know if they have that edge, man. And so, now, and I said this on my show on Sunday, but, Nick Saban towards the end struggled with that. You look at the Bryce Young, Will Anderson team that everybody thought was going to be the best team in the history of the program. And obviously they didn't even compete for a national championship, but it's clearly not talent. So are the players soft? I want to welcome a new sponsor to the Aaron Torres pod, BlueChew. Fellas, remember back in the day when you were always ready to go? Well, things change. You got a lot on your mind. Your football team isn't very good. Well, here's the good news. That's where BlueChew comes in. BlueChew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in chewable form. To get started, it's so easy. Just go to BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part, it's all done online. No awkward trip to the doctors, no waiting at the pharmacy, no stink eyes, no raised eyebrows, nothing. Thing is, though, I know a lot of you are probably wondering, Torres, does it actually work? Do you think I need to try it? Well, here's the deal. Try it for a month for free, and I think there will be no turning back, all right? You'll love it. Your partner is going to love it. Your football team may stink, but you'll be rocking like the 85 Bears between the sheets. So go ahead, try it out, and here is the great news. We have a special offer for listeners of the Aaron Torres pod. You can try BlueChew for free when you use the code Torres at checkout. All you got to do is pay $5 in shipping. Go to BlueChew.com, use promo code Torres at checkout. You get BlueChew for free for a free month, and you only have to pay $5 shipping. Again, visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. Thank you to BlueChew for sponsoring the Aaron Torres podcast. The scheme, I mean, where do we, and I'm not trying to criticize any individual player, but where do we land? Because specifically, and we'll get to some other stuff in a minute, but for people that don't follow Alabama on a day-to-day basis, what was it, 26, 27 points in the second half against Georgia, 40 against Vandy, South Carolina, especially to start the second half, drove right up the field, shoved it right down your throat. So the defense is probably issue number one that it feels like people are frustrated with. Again, is it, and we're not scheme guys, or I'm not a scheme guy. I'm not an expert. I can't tell you what, but is it the scheme? Is it the players? Is it the coach? What is it?
Yeah, man. And I enjoy those scheme things, but we got to speak the language of our audience.
Yep.
Okay. And I've always been, it kind of helps us that, my Hall of Fame jersey's right here. And, I can break down a cover too. And listen, those conversations are fun, but 90% of your audience is speaking a different language, right? They're looking at you going, oh, yeah. So I can't lose you with terminology. But what I can tell you is they're not good at tackling. They miss a lot of tackles. They get to the guy. They just can't get him on the ground. Like they put pressure on South Carolina. They put pressure on Vanderbilt. They just couldn't get him on the ground. So scheme-wise, and I've got a theory, okay? And my theory is very simple. I think, and just this is a guess. This is just an uneducated guess, not an educated guess. I think what they're doing is they have so many youthful pieces of the puzzle that they're having to – I'm trying to look at another word because football is never dumb it down. Because I don't want to say dumb it down because to be a football player, you got to be highly intelligent, but you got to bring it down a couple of notches, right? You got to get down to a level where it cannot be this super complex. I mean, Nick Saban ran a complex defense. This one I think is more player friendly, but in return, it's more predictable for the opposing offenses. And that's where Alabama is. I mean, listen, if I could see it up in the press box, I know those professional offensive coordinators can see it. And Shane Beamer said it going into the South Carolina game. He told his wide receivers, hey, listen, we're going to be able to make some yards on the way they play defense. That's not a good phrase. Hopefully they're saving something for Tennessee.
Kalen Deboer, he's so like, I think the gift and the curse, right? When you move on from Nick Saban, listen, we've talked about it. You and I have talked about it on your show since February, since January. Best guy that you could have possibly gotten. But he is also the Taylor opposite of Nick Saban in every way, shape, and form. I don't think Taylor opposite is even a word, but you get the point. Complete opposite in every single way. Is Kalen Deboer, and I know you have a great relationship with him. I'm not trying to put you in a bad spot. I feel like there is.
You want me to call him? You want me to call him?
Yeah, I mean, if you can get him on the show, maybe we could ask him about the defense real quick.
Let's see. Hold on, he's at practice though.
Oh,
he's
at
practice. Yeah,
well,
you can't text him. You can't text him right now. He's at practice, but he does wear the iPhone. I don't know.
If I wanted to be a jerk, I could say they need that practice right now, but I'm not doing it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
okay.
Here's my question. I don't think that he is too soft to be, or he's not built to coach in the SEC. I do think when you've dealt with 18, 17, whatever it is years of Nick Saban, where the ass chewings, as in his own words, are public and vocal, and he'll call out a media member, he'll call out an assistant coach, he'll call out a player, he'll scream at Lane Kiffin on the sideline. I do think that's another adjustment. So what do you say to people that say either Kalen DeBoer is too soft or he's just not built for the SEC? Go ahead.
Okay, all right. He's fine. He'll be fine. Okay, listen, he's not too soft. But I want to flip the question to you, back to you, teacher. I want to go back to Torres in Connecticut, elementary, middle school, high school.
I'm actually wearing my UConn hat here right now. So
okay, yeah, go Huskies! National champ right there.
Sorry about
right
the Final Four. Sorry about the Final Four, but continue.
Yeah, we apologize. We apologize. But all right, so I want you to call out. The teacher may be dead at this point. Who was the hardest teacher you ever like? I mean, I'm talking about that teacher that said, Torres, I want you in your desk at 7:59 for a 8 o'clock class, and you better have your pencil on your paper. Who was the most difficult teacher? You remember that?
So
person?
I honestly don't remember names, but I will say when I was an undergrad at the University of Connecticut, there was a class that was very hard.
But see, it doesn't work for college.
Though. Okay.
So you got to go back to high school.
Miss Johnson,
Miss Johnson.
Yeah. I made that
Miss
up.
Johnson. Okay, Miss Johnson, hard. I mean, she's a screamer. She wants Torres's homework with every I dotted and every T crossed.
Yes.
Did Miss Johnson ever have a substitute teacher?
Of course. Yeah, every once in a while, not often, but
and then you took full advantage of that substitute teacher, did you not? Because this was time to stretch the legs a little bit.
Are you calling Kalen DeBoer a substitute teacher?
I'm not calling him a substitute teacher, but it's the substitute teacher syndrome, right? He's coming in. These are some of his guys, but Nick Saban is a yeller. He's a screamer. He's a vocal guy. He's an in-your-face. Kalen DeBoer is more of a player-friendly coach, right? He had to be. He had to come in and build relationships because Torres, they had a 30-day window and leave. He had no other choice. It's not like, well, I want to be soft. I want to come in and just treat them with kids' gloves. No, I've got to, because if I don't build a relationship with these guys very, very quick. Now, listen, there's a fire in Kalen DeBoer, but it's not Nick Saban, okay? The media is never going to get a Nick Saban rant. We're never going to get, him looking at us and not even answering our question and going off about some defensive back that did something wrong at practice. We're never going to get that from Kalen DeBoer. He's not going to go on that rant. That's not his personality. But he can connect with people, and I'm not exactly sure if it's not this way is the better way. The
in this era,
yeah, because look at Kirby over in Athens.
Ooh.
He's a Nick Saban guy. When I look at Georgia, that's the best roster in college football talent-wise. They haven't showed it, but that is a deep, deep roster. You can't tell me that 5 stars are all over the field. He has a different coaching style. I think Kalen DeBoer for the future, if they can just navigate some of these growing pains, then I think he's going to be perfect for the current system. Watch the spring portal period, where we all thought that thing was going to be loaded up because that was another period that, okay, you go through 15 days of spring practice. Now you get a chance to go, okay, I'm going to put my name in the portal. One guy, he ended up at junior college. One guy, that was it. Nobody else got in the portal that was significant. That's a part that you have to build those relationships. You almost have to sacrifice a little bit of being soft or maybe being kind or gentle and, not just cussing you out because you forgot your pencil. Yeah, that happened, but I'll leave it at that. But no, I think Kalen DeBoer in the current structure will probably be a little bit better than Nick Saban would have been. I think Nick Saban threw the towel in because he knew his system was not set up for the future of college football.